A warm welcome to all my students. Hope you're all fine and safe. First of all, I would like to congratulate you all for attending FA1 examination. The correction is still going on and we will declare the results soon. Children, before the exam, we were discussing about the chapter sources in history, and today we shall revise the same chapter. History needs some sources. Now let's learn about historical sources. Historical sources are the foundation to understand a particular era back in time. They help us to gain knowledge about important events, inventions, cultures, civilizations, and many other aspects of the society. They serve as an evidence in the construction of history. Now let's learn about history in detail. History is a systematic study of the past. It is written on the basis of sources. So, we are calling, if there is no source, no history at all. These sources act as an evidence. The historians are like an advocate. The advocates present their arguments on the basis of followed evidences and sources related to their case. Same way, historians collect the sources, subject them to critical examination, analysis, and then they write the history. Whenever direct sources are not available, sometimes evidences or the sources won't be available. In such cases, historians need to make some assumptions based on the available sources. Hence, often an event is analyzed from different perspectives by different historians. Now, do you understand? Same concept of past events may be given with different perspectives in a different way by different historians, because there were no direct sources about that. So, the historians has to do some assumptions, and depends on that they used to write the history. Now, let's see the sources of history. What is source? Human beings had created many facilities to lead their life since ancient times. If the things used by human beings in the past have remained, then they are called as the sources by historians. So what are called sources? If the things used by human beings in the past have remained, then they are called as the sources by historians. For example, agricultural tools, forts, coins, inscriptions, arms, temples, and religious buildings. So these are considered to be the sources for writing the history. Now let's learn about the sources of history. There are main two sources of history. They are literary sources and archaeological sources. And the literary sources are further divided into written literature and oral literature. The written literature can be divided as native literature and foreign literature, whereas oral literature are folk story, folk songs, folk legends, and ballads. Archaeological sources are inscriptions, coins, monuments, and other ruins. The written literature are written accounts from the past, whereas oral literature are the information that is passed through the years by word of mouth, like songs, stories, myths, ballads, etc. The archaeological sources are the objects of the past that have survived till now, like coins, monuments, inscriptions, and other ruins. Now let's learn about literary sources in detail. Written literature and oral literature are the main sources of literary sources. Written literature can bring the contemporary social life of the times of the writer alive to us. A literary work portrays the then existing aspects of life either directly or indirectly. There are two types in written literary forms. They are native literature and foreign literature. Now let's learn about native literature. The literature created by Indians in their native languages are called as native literature. Literary works in Sanskrit, Prakrit, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, Marathi, Kashmiri, Gujarati, Oriya and many other native languages are the sources. These literatures give us an idea of the contemporary social, religious, economic, cultural and political life of the people back in time. Now let's see some examples of native literature. Kautilya's Arthashastra. The Arthashastra was written by Kautilya. And King Hola's Gatha Saptashati. King Hola has written Gatha Saptashati. And next, Vishakadatta. Vishakadatta has written Mudra Rakshas. Vishakadatta has written Mudra Rakshas. And the fourth one here in the picture, you can see Kalhana's Rajatarangini. Kalhana's Rajatarangini. Next, Banabhatta has written Harshacharita. Banabhatta has written Harshacharita. Next, Chand Badai's Prithviraj Raso. Chand Badai has written Prithviraj Raso. And the next one in Kannada, Pampa has written Vikramarjuna Vijaya. Pampa has written Vikramarjuna Vijaya. And the last one is Sangam literature in Tamil. The last one is Sangam literature in Tamil. These are the sources of native literature. Now let's move on to foreign literature. Many foreigners who visited India as travelers, ambassadors, businessmen, officials and missionaries have recorded their observations and experiences in their works. These works are considered as foreign literature. Now, do you understand what is foreign literature? The foreigners who visited India, they have recorded their observations and experiences in their works. And these works were called as foreign literature. Now, let's see some examples of foreign literature. Megasthenes has written Indica. Indica was written by Megasthenes. And next, Fahian. Fahian has written Go Ko Ki. Go Ko Ki was written by Fahian. And third, Huanswang. Huanswang has written See You Ki. Huanswang has written See You Ki. And fourth, Ptolemy. Ptolemy has written Geography. Ptolemy has written Geography. And fifth, Tarak-e-Ferishta was written by Ferishta. Who has written Ferishta? Ferishta has written Tarak-e-Ferishta. And the last one, sixth one is here, Tusk-e-Babri, which was written by Babar. Babar's Tusk-e-Babri. Tusk-e-Babri was written by Babar. And these are the important sources of foreign literature. Apart from, there are many other writings that serve as the sources which was written by foreigners. These works also get the depiction of the contemporary social, political, economic, cultural and administration aspects of those society. Now let's see the drawbacks of these literary sources. These literary sources are giving an idea about the society, political, economic, cultural and administrative aspects of those period it has some drawbacks. Let's see now. In native literature, usually the exaggeration, hyperbole, and loyalty to one's master are apparent. Whereas in foreign literature, lack of local knowledge led to misguided information. Thus, historians have to keep in their mind all these challenges while writing the history. Now let's see about oral literature. Oral literature means information that is passed down through the ears by word of mouth from one person to another, like folk story, folk songs, folk legends, ballads, and others. Since the beginning of human life, human beings are passing on their experiences in the form of story, songs, and ballads orally from generation to generation. The folk people have created ballads about their local heroes. For example, there are ballads on Kumararama, the Nayakas of Chitradurga, Kempe Gowda, Tippu Sultan, Sangoli Rayanna, Kitturu Chennamma, Sinduru Lakshmana, Meadows Taylor, and others. Legends mean the local mythological stories or Sthala Puranas. Every place will have their own legends. There are legends behind the names and places like Shravanabelagola, Bengaluru, Koppala, Pattadakkalu, Gokarna, and Mysuru. Similarly, every village and town have their own legends. Children, now did you understand what is oral literature? Now let's move on to archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are the objects of the past that have survived till now, like coins, inscriptions, monuments, and other ruins. Archaeological sources are available not only on the surface of the earth, but also hidden deep in the depths of the earth. The hidden things in the earth are dug out by using scientific methods. This process is called as excavation, and the materials which found are called artifacts. The Harappan civilization came to light only due to the process of excavation. During excavation, ruins of buildings, inscriptions, coins, terracotta pieces, bangles, seals, bone pieces, metal, and other have been found. These are analyzed by applying various scientific methods to understand the life of those times. Now let's see the types of archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are divided into 4 types. They are inscriptions, coins, monuments, and other ruins. Now let's learn about inscriptions. Inscriptions mean engraved writing. Inscriptions are written on stone, rock, metal, ivory, terracotta, and other materials that last longer. Inscriptions are more reliable source as these have a direct relationship with then events. So, the inscriptions are the more reliable source to write history. Understood? Now, we'll see some examples of inscriptions. Ashoka's inscriptions are the earliest inscriptions found in India. Most of these inscriptions are in Brahmi script, and the language used here is Prakrit. Thousands of inscriptions are found in Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Sanskrit, and Prakrit languages. We'll see now few of it. Samudragupta's Allahabad pillar inscription, Immadi Pulikeshi's Aihole inscription, Karavela's Hattigumpa inscription, and other inscriptions portray the military achievements of then rulers. The Uttaramerur inscription narrate the rural administration of Chola kings. Apart from this, many political, social, cultural, economic, educational, religious aspects are reflected in these inscriptions. And Halmidi inscription is the first well-known inscription in Kannada. Now let's move on to coins. Numismatics is a study of coins. Though the coins are small in shape, they contain many important aspects. They are helpful in understanding the geographical extent of the ruler's kingdom which minted the coins. They also aid us in knowing the language of administration, titles that the kings possessed, their religion, economic conditions of the times, and metal technology in vogue of the particular kingdoms. Samudragupta had minted 7 different types of gold coins. Based on the pictures on the coins, it is said that Samudragupta was a lover of music and he conducted Ashwamedha Yaga too. Gautamiputra Shatakarni got the name of the Nahapana erased on his coins and engraved his name on them. This supports the view that Gautamiputra had defeated Nahapana. The availability of Roman coins in Bengaluru proves the fact that this region had trade link with Romans 2000 years back. Hence, the coins proves us about the economic condition as well as some information about the then back in time. Now let's learn about monuments. Monuments are the major sources to write history. Palaces, temples, forts and pillars, etc. are the examples of monuments. Meruli's iron pillar and Vijaypura's whispering gallery in Golgumbas are the evidences of the maturity of then science and technical knowledge. Shah Jahan's Taj Mahal tells the story of love. Chittogur's Vijayastambha tells the victory of Ranakumbha. The cave pictures you can see in this slide, the cave pictures and engravings of Elephanta, Ellora and Ajanta narrate the mastery over painting and sculpture during their time. The temples of Aihole and Pattadakkalu explain the evolution of Indian temple architecture. The monuments of Nalanda and the architecture of madrasas built by Gawan in Bidar narrate the importance given to education during those times. The fort of Srirangapatna explains the accomplishments in the area of defense technology. Thus, the monuments throw light on the contemporary religious aspects, technology, economic growth, and scientific knowledge and creativity achieved during those times. Now, let's move on to other ruins. Based on various pieces of terracotta, bangles, beads, and seal procured during the examination, one can understand the socio-cultural, economic, political, and religious life of then people. Not only this, one can also understand the food habits and pattern of business of those times. By applying carbon-14 dating procedure on the biological ruins like dead animals, birds, and trees found in these sites, one can arrive at the accurate period of those ruins. So do you know how to apply the C14 radioactive carbon? This should be done only to the biological fossils like tree, birds, plants, and animals. In every being, the C14 and C12 will be present in equal amounts. After the death of the living being, C12 remains constant, but C14 starts losing its volume. It loses half of C14 by 5,700 years. If one can estimate the levels of C12 and C14, one can able to estimate the accurate age of the fossil. Fossils which are 10,000 years old can also be identified using this carbon dating method. So this is the way how the archaeologists are finding out the age of the people or the period of the materials which was found. Buddha stupas came to light during excavations at Sannati in Yadgiri district and Rajagatta of Doddabalapur Taluk. In the excavations conducted at Arikamedu and Pattanam in Tamil Nadu, a large number of evidences were found that speak of commercial contact between South India and Romans. Like this, the remains found at excavations tell many things that were lost over a period of time. In today's class, we have learnt about sources chapter, and tomorrow we will have question hour in Zoom class. So children, read through the chapter in the textbook as well as watch this video again and again to make yourself thorough with the content. Hope you understood. Tomorrow we'll meet you in the Zoom class. Thank you, children.